Yes, a very good morning to all of you. Right. So if you could just confirm if the audio video is all good. Yes, all good. If you could confirm if you are able to see me, if you are able to listen to me, hear me. Yes, all good. Okay. Right. So warm welcome to the CA intermediate. Right. So I think somehow this admit room thing has happened over there. Right, that it's putting you in the waiting room and then I need to admit. So probably I'll try making a change to the settings later. But yes, for the time being, yes, a very warm welcome to all of you into the world of auditing. Right, so at foundation there was no auditing as such, but when you had decided in your career path that you want to pursue chartered accountancy, you might have heard that chartered accountancy is mainly related to, like they say, audit and tax. That's what they mainly talk, though that's a very limited and a generalized understanding about a CA course. There are a lot of multiple options which are available, but to the core of it, like come listen or come to know, or if you see some other person, you tell them that you are doing CA, so the first thought which reflects to them is that, oh, it's something related to tax, something related to audit or so. Okay, right. So I hope you are all set on your journey. You've laid down your roadmap of when your attempt is upcoming, and then what subjects you need to prepare for when the classes should be done, and you've already gained and keeping or building up the momentum for your upcoming exams. Right. So foundation is an MCQ type of paper which you write over there, which requires a particular skill set. Obviously, that skill set is going to be beneficial at CA Inter and CA Final also, because now the good part of the CA course in the audit paper also, like since the past few years, there have been these 30 marks of the MCQ. Right. So again, there are a few people in the waiting room. Okay. Right. So, there is this 30 marks of the MCQ. So when it's MCQ, it's a double-edged sword. So one, if you have a good conceptual understanding, you can crack those MCQ questions. You can get the correct, what you say, if you have the correct understanding of the concept, you can identify the correct answer over there. But sometimes, it seems to be scoring, but you rely too much on the MCQ, and then the required marks may or may not come. But anyways, like now, getting good marks in audit or getting wonderful score in your CA Inter, also including audit, is very much possible, because 30 marks is the MCQ part of the paper. I request you to mute yourself. Okay. Right. So 30 marks of your paper is the MCQ, in which there are like 10 marks are 10 questions are 1 markers over there, and then another 10 questions are 2 markers over there. Right. So you have 20 questions of the MCQ. Apart from that, in the theory part of the paper, you have the correct, incorrect, and then state with reasons whether the following statements are correct or incorrect. So again, you have some 7 questions over there, 2 marks each, right? So that's coming to another 14 marks over there, right? So 30 marks of the MCQ. In that, 10 are 1 markers and 10 are 2 markers. So that's the split up of the 30 marks of the MCQ. Then 14 marks you have coming from your correct, incorrect. Then a state with reasons whether the following statements are correct, incorrect. So 30 plus 14 is like 44 marks of our paper has been taken care of. And then you have the 56 marks of the paper, in which you have the theory part, right? Which is like the writing part of the paper over there. Okay, right. So I hope all of you have, yes, so I don't know, somehow there is this waiting room getting created. So I hope that your internet connection doesn't fluctuate, so that, you go out and then I need to put you again. But let's hope for the best. And I'll try to make the change in the settings also. Okay. Right. So those of you who've joined a bit later, once again, welcome to all of you into the world of auditing, right? And altogether different set of knowledge bank, right? Which you will be now developing during the class regarding the subject of audit, right? So I was just mentioning about the Yes, so I was just mentioning about the format of our paper, ICAI Inter Audit Paper. It is 30 marks of the MCQ, 14 marks of the correct, incorrect, that is 7 questions into 2 marks each, and then 56 marks is the theory part of the paper, right? So it becomes, with a good combination of the objective type of questions plus the subjective type of questions, it becomes an optimum combination for us to get a good score in the exam. Right. So I hope all of you have devoted and dedicated and found the time from your schedule to prepare and be regular in attending these classes. Right. So what is very important in an online class is having lot of dedication and discipline. And there is a new finding, like how the pharmaceutical companies, they develop new drugs. And so nowadays there is a new finding amongst the CA students, that students who are doing online classes, students who are doing the recorded classes, the PDGD, the Pendrive, Google Drive classes, are substantially getting very good marks in the exam. So, earlier there was like a mind block, that, oh, it's a recorded class. And then, obviously I don't underestimate the power and the good points of the face-to-face class. But even, the online recorded class, there is so much of time saving in the context of traveling. Then there is so much of, you keep yourself away from the distractions of, getting into that classroom, classroom type of an environment, and getting more into the fun and frolic part of it, right? So that gets eliminated, so it becomes more disciplined, right? So it is, you can earlier, how it started earlier, it was only face to face. Then at a CA final, the students started accepting more of the recorded classes, and then now almost the entire CA final has shifted towards the online classes. And now we see that trend coming into the intermediate classes also, right? So the most essential ingredient for getting the success or the maximum out of the recorded classes or the online classes that you are doing is, obviously, one is the technical hardware part of it, that you need good internet connectivity. But the software part of it, which is you yourself, is nothing but the discipline which is required. Right? Discipline. This you can use many alternative terms to explain discipline, but ultimately, to put it all together, what is required very much for an online class for you to get the maximum benefit out of it is discipline. Right? That is the software part, and the hardware part is that you require the good internet. Yes, all the technology part should be taken care of. Okay. Right. So have you started with some other subjects so far? Audit or audit, no, apart from that, the FM, SM, and then you have the accounts and law and so many of these subjects, right? So have you started your journey, or are you like, first one is only like audit for you to begin with? How's it? You've started your journey, right, for your preparations? Right, you're feeling you're already started very slow, but yes, okay, first one, okay, right? So yes, at some point of time you need to start, and it might be a great motivation for you, like, you've cleared your CA foundation, and then you look forward to you doing this big diving into this big ocean of the intermediate. You have to do your ITT and then the orientation and so many other. Then after that, you are eligible for your articleship, and so okay. Right, so group 1 ho gaya. Oh my God, that's wonderful, right? So you are like halfway through, like, so 50% has been done, right? So now it's just one more group over there. So you are getting the best of both the worlds. Like, one group you wrote under the old course, and another group you're writing under the new course. Okay, right? So that's great. What have you heard? What rumors or what fact check do you know already about audit? You might have heard, no, in the classroom or something from your seniors, or in general in the CA discussions or chat rooms, something regarding audit, right? You would have heard something, any bad name, any good name given to the subject of audit over there? Yes? Anything that you've heard about it? Like the audit industry, or when you do your articleship, or have you heard about the big fours or there? Yeah, bahut tough hota hai karke. Okay, yes, exactly. So you've been told the underlying inherent limitation of the subject, ke it can become a villain if you don't treat it like a hero. Okay, right? Okay. A boredom subject, no, that I won't agree. Tough, I would agree, because everybody has a different skill set. Boredom, no, don't worry, I'll take care of that. I'll make it interesting. You will love the subject. You will develop, at least exam oriented love. Rest of your life also you might like the subject, but otherwise your fear or your lack of interest in the subject, that I can give you like an assurance, okay, that won't happen. Okay, technical jargons, yeah. How many of you are like cricket lovers? cricket is probably the only sport for which I have limited understanding. I can't ask you anything about tennis or volleyball or, football or something like that. But yeah, India, cricket is supposed to be a religion over here. So how many of you follow cricket? And can you, in case if you follow cricket, can you tell me some terms related to cricket? Can you tell me some terms like, ma'am, this is like such basic terminology regarding cricket that you should be knowing. Otherwise, you sit in front of the television box and you can't understand anything that what is happening over there, why people are running and why the umpire is making different gestures by his hand. Okay, LBW, right? Okay. Yes, LBW, that's it. Okay, there is hat trick. Okay, there is boundary 4. Now, generally, to a normal person, super over, okay, yeah, then there is also this power play and all of that. Normally, if I tell a googly, okay, if I tell a normal person, okay, boundary, normal person, like not considering what you say, helicopter shot, okay, 6'4", exactly. If I tell a normal person about boundary, not in the context of cricket, but if I say boundary, then probably you think about Ramayana, where there is the, Lakshman Rekha, where Sita is not supposed to cross it. So that's also a boundary over there. Then we also have the India-Pakistan boundary, or every country, every state also has its border, its boundary over there. But, in cricket, like, there is a rope which has been put around the stadium or a marking. Then if the ball goes beyond that, then it's a boundary or a 4. Okay. Yes, and then generally over. So what we say, either the food is over or the game is over, or something is over there. But in cricket, it is 6 balls, which is equal to 1 over there. Right? So anyway, see what I want to tell you. Somebody mentioned technical jargons. So just for us, if we want to enjoy any sport or any game for that matter, we have to know the terminology related to that sport. We have to know the rules of it. Only then it can make sense. Like, two doctors are talking amongst themselves, let's say to some surgeons are talking about themselves, they are talking some technical terms of how the surgery, what technique and what is the complication in that. We're like, oh my god, what are you guys talking about? Like, you cannot make any sense out of it. Yes, so obviously, why? Because they have a technical jargon related to what they are talking about. Similarly, in the audit paper, one wrong conception what we need to remove is that, oh, I know how to do audit and I can write it in my own language. No. Own language, no. You need to have the technical words. The cement in the paper could be or your own language. That is the grammar part of the paper, the structuring of the sentences. But the words, the bricks have to be of ICAI. So very important, you need to use the terminology, the technical terms related to audit, and that is what we are going to work upon. Right? That is what we are going to make ourselves very, very familiar with in developing a terminology for the subject of audit. Okay. How many of you have crossed a road? Since your childhood, you might be crossing roads, right? Holding the hand of an elderly person. Now it's the reverse way, that you hold the hand of the elderly person to help them cross. Earlier, when you were a child, somebody used to hold your hand and make you cross. So it's a busy street. There are vehicles coming left, right. Then you know how Indians probably, it's a few of them, there is a changing trend. But yeah, you see that there is some lack of traffic or driving on the road also. And in that busy street, like, you have no option. There are trucks and cars and two-wheelers and so many activities happening over there, and you have to cross that road. So first of all, nowadays 99% of the people, they are always busy on their phone. So when they are when they want to cross the road also, they'll be chatting something or talking to somebody on the phone like that, and then crossing. So can you just think that I have to cross the road, and then you're talking on your phone, and then after that you just cross the road without looking left, right? Is there a higher chance that some vehicle may bump into you? You don't take a judgment of how many people are there, how much time will that vehicle take to come here, and whether in that much time I'll be able to cross the road. Do you do that judgment? Are you alert? If you see a vehicle coming from some side, are you able to visualize the situation, everyone? Simple situation I'm giving you, that if I have to cross a road, yes, if I have to cross a road, can I just put a, blind, cloth. I just put a cloth. I just put a piece of cloth around and then eye mask or something, and then I just cross the road, right, without listening, without seeing anything. Is that possible? Is there a higher chance of meeting with an accident, either you getting hit or somebody else meeting with some tragedy because of that? Right? So do you realize what you do while crossing a road? Also, you are alert. What you are alert about? Okay, from where is the vehicle coming? Is there enough time for, like whether from where I should cross the road? Then you also take a judgment. If you see a vehicle coming, that how much time it will take, and that much time will I be able to cross the road? Then you put your hand, you show the hand and say, wait, let me cross the road. And then after that, you cross the road. So believe this, even when you cross a road, you do an audit and then you cross the road. You do the checking. How much traffic is there, what vehicles are there, whether I'll be able to cross the road, and then you cross the road. You don't as if you're walking in a garden, you just don't get up and start walking over there. You understand? Similarly, in a company also, the financial statements. Have you heard this term, financial statements? Have you heard? It's a technical jargon. You tell doctor financial statements, he may not understand. Engineer, no. But CA students, do you understand the term financial statements? What all is included? Financial statements mein kya hota hai? Trading, okay. Trading and profit and loss account, okay. Tell me. P&L, okay. Balance sheet, very good. Balance sheet, trading and profit and loss account. Notes, notes ka another name for notes. Ultimately it means notes, but there is a term called as summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. As a summary of significant accounting policies, because what is given in the notes to account, all the accounting policies which have been used in the preparation of financial statements and other explanatory information. Like you have to give information regarding your contingent liabilities, you have to give information regarding your leases, you have to give information regarding related parties. So that is other explanatory information. Anyways, what all is included in financial statements? Balance sheet, statement of profit and loss, cash flow statement, very good. SOCE, statement of changes in equity, right? You have the statement of changes in the equity, and then after that the summary of the significant accounting policies and the other explanatory information, right? So balance sheet, statement of profit and loss, cash flow statement, SOCE, that is your statement of changes in equity, and then you have the notes to account, right? That's your summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. So it's one of the main audit which is conducted, which is called as the financial statement audit. Who do you think prepares these financial statements? One of the type of audit. There are hundreds of types of audit. There is tax audit, there is internal audit, there is cost audit, management audit, operational audit, energy audit, environment audit, quality audit. Anything that you check becomes an audit. Okay. Right? Who prepares these financial statements? What do you think? Yes, who prepares the financial statements? Management. Management. Who is management? Yes, who is the management? Yes, they are the people who are, yes, running the organization. Oh, sorry. Yes, they are the people who are running the organization on behalf of the shareholders, right? They are the people inside the organization, and shareholders are the people outside the organization. Okay, so now who are the owners of the company? Who are the owners, the true owners of the company? The shareholders. But are shareholders participating in the day-to-day decision making, in the day-to-day operations, into the running of the organization? No, for that the shareholders have appointed the board of directors, they've appointed the directors, they've appointed the management, the CEO, CFO in the company. So obviously the CEO, CFO, management, board of directors, they are running the organization on behalf of the shareholders. Now shareholders want to know, okay, how this management is doing their work. Are they doing any fraud? Are they doing any wrongdoing in the organization? Whether they have taken the proper decisions, whether the financial statements have been prepared properly. So what shareholders do? One, they appoint the management to run the company, and then they appoint the auditor to go and check, see what whatever this management is doing, are they doing it properly or no? So shareholders, they've outsourced both the work. They've outsourced the task of running the company also, and then checking the running of the company also to the auditors. Right? So in case we've come to our core term over there, which is the audit. And audit, AUDIT. You know, all you do is tick, 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 tick. And all you do is tick. And why CA use the reverse tick? Why don't they tick in a straight manner? Like, why don't they tick like this? They tick in the reverse manner. You see, ICAICA logo also, how it is now. They've made that the orange saffron color and the green color also, and below the CA India also written over there. Right? They recently upgraded the logo. Right, the CA logo. One is the ICI logo, wherein you have the eagle and it says your Esha Supteshu Jagarti. And then when the world sleeps, we awake. Right, so that's the ICI logo. But apart from that, we also have the CA logo. And so the CA logo also has the reverse tick. If you look at this Aarti, Lahoti audit learning also, even in that A has a reverse tick over there. So why the style of the CA? Why can't he put a straight tick? Right? So the reason being that if you tick on a number in a straight manner, it overlaps the number. Like if there's a number written 10,000 and if I tick it in a straight manner, somehow it gets overwritten on the number. So maybe later on the visibility of the number may not be proper. Right? So if I tick it on top, then the number does not get affected. The number, there's no overwriting over there. So probably with that thought process, it is the CA who will put these reverse ticks over there. Right? So all you do is tick. And also, have you heard about audio video? 100% you would have heard. Audio is what you listen to and video is what you see. And if you say audio and you listen to the word audit, do you think there has to be some familiarity between audio and audit? Audio, an audio CD, and then you have the audit. Do you think there should be some similarity between these two? Yes. So the word audit, AUDIT, has been derived from the Latin word audere, AUDIERE, audere, which means to hear, to listen. And the word audit has been derived from the Latin word audere, which means to hear, which means to listen. So traditional, ancient times, medieval times, not modern times. We are talking about the ancient times. How the concept of audit evolved? That one person, few people in the organization, they used to do the bookkeeping. They used to do the accounting. Another gentleman, another person used to come to that particular place where the accounts are being prepared. The person who prepared the accounts used to tell him everything regarding how the accounting has been done. And this other person used to come and listen. Oh, this is how you've done the accounting. This is how you've done the accounting. And then say, yeah, looks like you've done a fair job. And looks like you have done a fair job. So that's how one person has done the accounting. Another separate person used to come and used to listen to what accounting you have done and then say whether you've done it right or wrong. And whether you've done it right or wrong. This was the origin, like when initially the concept of auditing started. Now today you can't go to a company like Tata Motors or Infosys and Reliance and tell them, yeah, you tell me how you've done the accounting, I'll listen to you. What you listen to? Millions of transactions. With the UPI, 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 10 rupee, 5 rupee payment also people are doing online. Number of transactions has increased. Multiple, millions and millions of transactions. Sales entry, purchase entry. Can you imagine the volume of transactions at Amazon or at State Bank of India or Zomato, Ola, Uber? Number of people booking the Ola, Uber cab every day. Is it possible for you to tell client, okay, client, the company where I go to do the checking, any organization where I go to do the checking, and I tell them, you tell me, I'm listening to you. In the class, you have to listen to me. But practically, though the way in which the audit is conducted has evolved over a period of time. Now we make use of computers. Now we have a world wherein we are doing the digital audit. So obviously, how we do an audit has undergone a change. But why we do an audit? The reason is the same. Yeah, in past audit was done by hearing. Exactly. Hello. So what I'm telling you that why audit is conducted, that remains the same. You want to check whatever work has been done by one person, whether that work is proper or not. But how audit has done, that has undergone a revolutionary change. It has undergone a sea change regarding how the audit is conducted. Like, just as for doing accounting, you have an software. Can anybody tell me the most popular accounting software? Accounting software. Yeah, Tally, exactly. Yes, that's the most popular accounting software. Similarly, we also have an audit software, right? Similarly, just as there is an accounting software, there is also something called as the audit software, which is nowadays used by the auditor. These audit softwares are called as CATs. Do you know what is CATs? Yes, CATs is the computer assisted audit techniques. And a computer assisted audit techniques. And that is what we mean by CATs. Right? So just as for doing accounting, there is an accounting software. Nowadays for doing audit also, there is an audit software. Okay. Right. Right, so I think just some fluctuation with the internet. Just give me a moment till things come back to normal. Just a moment. Right. So I hope we are connected back, right? Probably yes, the backup didn't work or something. Anyways, right? So yeah, we were talking about that just as for doing the accounting, you have a accounting software. Similarly, for doing the audit, you have the auditing software. Have you also heard about something called as accounting standards? You'll see so much of mirror reflection between accounts and audit today, right? So one, you see the accounts where you have an accounting software. Similarly, for doing audit, you have the audit software. Like for doing the accounting, you have an accounting standard. What is an accounting standard? If I could ask, if I could check your level of intelligence and your great ocean of knowledge which all of you have. Yes, what is an accounting standard? Very simple question I've asked you. AS, accounting standard, a standard to be followed while doing the accounting, right? Principle wise follow while preparing financial statements. Okay, wonderful. Why? So that within the accounting standard you have options given. Okay, for inventory, have you heard inventory? Inventory, raw material, work in progress, finished goods, loose tools and spare parts and all of that. Yeah, AS2 accounting standard 2 or IND AS2. That is the Indian accounting standard 2 for inventory. AS2 gives you two options for valuation of inventory, namely AS2, yes, it gives you the that is the what you say cost or NRV, whichever is lower, that is the principle which you follow. But as such, you have the two methods for doing the valuation of inventory, either using the FIFO or using the weighted average method. Have you heard about them? Have you heard these terms somewhere? FIFO and weighted average, first in, first out, and then you have the weighted average method. And there is a third method which is not allowed as per the AS. Do you know that one also? Yes, LIFO, last in first out. वो बोलते वो नहीं करने का, है ना? Last in first out is not allowed. So within the accounting standard, you have the options regarding how you can do the accounting, but you cannot go beyond that. And so you select out of FIFO weighted average, that's allowed, but LIFO it is not allowed. Right? So it is to bring about. And why have they issued an accounting standard? You have Indian accounting standards, you have US GAAP. Have you heard about US GAAP? You'll say, ma'am, you don't know how intelligent we are. Don't underestimate, we are Gen Z. Okay. I'm happy to be teaching Gen Z. Okay. Yeah. Generally accepted accounting principle. Which principle have you written over there? PRINCIPAL. That is the principle of the college and the school. PAL, if it ends with that. And PLE is the principle that we are talking about over here. And it's advanced, what principles you have in life, what principles are there for accounting, and so anyways, right? So generally, it might be an autocorrect also, okay? Right? So generally accepted accounting principles, right, which are there for the US also, US GAAP. And then you have German GAAP, you have Hong Kong GAAP, you have Chinese GAAP, you have Australian GAAP, you have, Dutch GAAP and Canadian GAAP. Every country has its own accounting standards, accounting principles. And if I combine all of them together, then we also have something called as what? IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. And Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It says every country you have your own standard. What about the international recognition about your accounting policies? So then we have something called as the IFRS also. And also to bring about within a given range some sort of a uniformity. And as you said very correctly, also to do the comparison. And like say Tata Motors has prepared its financial statements. I hope you know Tata Motors. Right? Tata Motors, that's one automobile company, and another company, Mahindra. Both are automobile company. Now, obviously, they are in the same industry. But now, when can I compare their financial statements when both have been prepared using the similar accounting standards? Say one has followed the IND AS, the Indian GAAP, and other has followed the IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standard. You can't compare. And can you compare the marks, or what you say, the number of attempts of a CA student with a BCom student? Is a ma'am BCom, there are no attempts. First attempt, full and final in BCom. So can, they say, oh my God, such a long time you're doing CA course. I too finished all my exams in the first. You see, you can't compare, yaar. Compare on same lines. No, another CA student cleared all the exams in the first attempt, and then the other student is not able to clear that. You can compare. You understand? So for it to be on the same grounds, right, you have the accounting standards. Anyways, the point which I want to introduce to you today in your life is that just as to do accounting, there are the accounting standards, and you know all the reasons why the accounting standards have been introduced. Similarly, to do the audit, to bring about uniformity in the auditing practices, the ICAI, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, has issued the SA, that is the Standards on Auditing. Accounting standards, you call them at AS, but auditing standards are not AS. Like, you could call it as auditing standards, but that's not how ICAI has named them. They've been named as the standards on auditing, right? Standards on auditing. So obviously these are the standards which are required to be followed while doing the auditing. SA, exactly. So what is AS? Now what is AS? Tell me. Type. No unmuting and telling me. No, you have to type it. Right? Is that because it's Greek? Yes. AS is accounting standards, correct. And SA is standards on auditing. Wonderful. Great job. Okay. Were you one attempt wonder, ma'am? Just curious. Exactly. So I thought I should tell you, but then I said it will not be right to talk about myself. I would have anyways told you over a period of time, right? So yeah, fortunately, I have been one attempt at all the levels of CA course. In 2005, I cleared my CA foundation. That time it was P1, Professional Education Examination 1. That was the P1 in 2005. Then 2006, entered both groups I cleared in May 2006. That is after 1 year, May 1st, 2005. And then after that, the 2006, and then November 2008 I wrote my CA final exam, and Jan 2009 I qualified as a chartered accountant, and then after that, since September 2009 I have been teaching, right? So 3 years of articleship. So articleship started like on 1st June 2006, and then it was till 31st July 2009. But already in Jan 2009 only I had qualified my CA final exam. So it was 6 months of a qualified articleship, which I also got to experience, right? And then 31st July, articleship got over. And then after, I also secured a rank in CA final, rank 24, which was like a feather on the cap. The only, purest of intentions over there was just to, yes, waiting room. Okay. Right. So the purest of the intentions over there was like, all subjects, four subjects, 8 subjects over there, and just clear it all. But as the feather in the cap, I also got an All India rank 24 over there. Okay. Right. So 2005, 2006, 2008, and then yes, finished the CA articleship in 2009. Okay. So that's about me. Right. So I hope your curiosity has been taken care of. Okay. Right. So anyways, the point which I'm trying to tell you over here is that when you do an audit, there is something called as the standards on auditing, right? So what we did comparison have we prepared today, that for doing the accounting, you have the accounting software, like which is a very common accounting software which we have Tally, we have SAP, we have so many, Oracle. But yeah, one example. Similarly, to do the audit, you have the audit software, right? So audit software is like the computer assisted audit techniques, the computer assisted audit techniques, because nowadays we are living in a time of the digital audit. Okay, right. Then just as for doing the accounting, the ICAI has issued the accounting standards. On similar lines, to do the audit, the ICAI has issued the standards on auditing, right? Standards on auditing, right? So for accounts, what we have is called as the generally accepted accounting principles. Abhi bola tha na, generally accepted accounting principles. Similarly, for doing audit, we have the generally accepted auditing standards. Right? This is called as the generally accepted auditing standards. Right? This is generally accepted accounting principle. This is generally accepted auditing standards. And obviously, both of these have been issued by the ICAI. Right? So just as there is US GAAP, there is also the US auditing standards, right? So every country, every what you say, regulatory body over there would be issuing their own standards. Okay, right. So now, anyways, you get the term standards on auditing. You also get the origin of the word audit, that the word audit has been derived from the Latin word audere, which means to hear, which means to listen. That means the accounting is done by one person, another independent person comes and listens to what you have done and then say whether it is right or wrong. So that's where the origin of audit came into. And then we also discussed another, looked into another term, that is the financial statements, right? So what all is included in financial statements? Balance sheet, statement of profit and loss, cash flow statement, SOCE. Who is SOCE? Statement of changes in equity. And then you have the notes to account. That is the summary of the significant accounting policies and the other explanatory information. Right? So if these financial statements are being audited, when you do an audit of the financial statements, then that is called actually technically as the statutory audit. And why statutory? What do you mean by statute? Something which is required by law. And it's required by law that you need to get your financial statements audited. So that's why this audit is called as statutory audit. So when an audit of the financial statements is being conducted, why and how and all of that, we'll get into the details. Just a moment. Yeah, audio, video, is it fine for everyone? Are you all able to see me? Right? Yeah, no. So probably there are some students who probably are facing some issue, but yeah, I hope, yeah, you're able to see and hear me. That's very important. Okay, right. So anyways, what we are talking about over here is the audit of the financial statements, and that audit is called as the statutory audit. Why statutory? Because it is required under a law. Right? So one very, very popular audit is the statutory audit. Another very, very popular audit is the internal audit. An internal audit. Actually, if you don't look at it technically, asking what information do it provide? Okay, can we, yes, I'm asking what information do it provide? Okay, so what information do it provide, right? The SOCE, okay, the statement of changes in equity. So whatever changes have taken place in the equity of the company during the year, the shareholding of the company during the year, that is the information which is provided. So it's not applicable for all entities. It is particular classes of companies which needs to prepare the SOCE, right? Mainly who have the investments and so, okay. Right, so statement of changes in the equity, right? So that's what we are talking. Okay, so if I'll tell you technically what is an internal audit, but not technically. And let's get into some philosophy to begin with, just to have some good discussions over here. Internal audit. Nahi pata hai technically what is this word. So then what would it mean to you? Audit, now, checking, verification, examination, something of that sort. Some sort of a checking is audit. Even when I cross the road, I need to do an audit and then cross the road. Otherwise, either I will hit somebody or somebody will hit me. And some problem will happen. So that's why you have to do an audit even when you cross the road. But now tell me, internal audit. What do? Man ka audit? Internal, whether you are having what type of thoughts coming out of your mind. You can do a thought audit also. What type of thoughts your mind is generating. Is it generating very selfish thoughts, or is it like generating lot of thoughts of gratitude and happiness and good positive thoughts or negative thoughts? You can do that audit also. Mast na? Is it a nice audit? You'll say, ma'am, like that. So, if you're talking, we can do that audit. We can do a thought audit. We can do a life audit. You'll say, ma'am, we are so young, ma'am. Where? But young, but then you have to get the right navigation towards life, no? Being young only, you have to develop the navigation for developing a resistance towards What do you want to build a resistance towards? Honestly, you want to build resistance towards studies. Oh my God, that's not resistance towards study. You need to build up resilience. You need to have the perseverance. Okay, right. So you want to develop the resistance towards bad influence. Okay, distractions. Oh, who's influencing you badly these days? Just tell me the name. I'll just, twist the ear of that entity. How can they do that to such sweet, wonderful, upcoming next generation? Who is that culprit? Internet. Oh, you just dump it then. You'll say, ma'am, we won't be able to attend class. Okay, then for that purpose you use it. Okay, social media. Hi. It is just taking away, the decision power of our life regarding what we want to do with our life. It doesn't allow us to do what we want to do. It will decide. Today you are scheduled to study. Today you are scheduled to do some exercise, some weightlifting, some meditation, or doing some, having a healthy conversation with your family members, putting things in place. But once you take that drooling software in your hand, gaya. You understand? This, like this. Where it takes you? It takes you to the North Pole, like this, doing like that. You don't even realize. No, you're like just 2 minutes and 3 minutes. And all the things which like don't have any context in your life. No, what do you say? Concern or no relation any whatsoever. You've got nothing to do. But they become the, what do you say, prominent personalities and important points of concern for your mind. Okay, right? So my God, so when you cross the road, you will do the audit, road audit. This all is not come in exam, but we are just trying to get the vibe of the subject of audit over here. Then you do your thought audit. Yeah, who's coming? Who's going? You can't allow any. You say if anybody was coming, you say, wait, Ray, right now I'm attending audit class. Where? Kidhar? Abhi time nahi hai, bhai, baad mein aana, 6 mahine baad. And you need to tell your thoughts that, I'll entertain you after a particular point of time, or every day I have in half an hour time when you can come. I'm a busy person. So you need to take my appointment. That time you come. If I find it important, I'll address you. Otherwise, you just ignore it. Okay. Right. So anyways, you can do a thought audit. You can do a life audit. Okay. Or just for you to get the best out of your time utilization and be away from the devils. Okay. Right. So anyways, internal audit. So ये तो अपना philosophy हो गया. Now exam we can't write the philosophy. Okay. Now internal audit. So one, what I told you is the statutory audit. Statutory audit is an audit which is required by law. Which is the audit required by law? It is the audit of the financial statements, which is required by law. Now I'm talking about internal audit. One very popular and important audit for us is the internal audit, in which also we'll have to do the audit of dash dash. So what are we going to do the audit of? Let's see. Say example, you go to any store. Like which departmental stores do you know? Can anybody quickly tell me? क्या departmental stores? कौन से departmental stores you people know? Have you gone to any departmental stores or any multi-brand shopping outlet also? D-Mart. I expected that to be the first answer. Wonderful. Okay. D-Mart. That's it. Big Bazaar. Oh, now that Big Bazaar has become Smart Bazaar something. Okay. Yeah, Reliance Smart. Exactly. Then that Central has also become Centro, and then there is Shopper Stop and all of that. So how is your experience over there? You go to like Spencer's, okay, any of these departmental stores, you go over there, you take a shopping cart. Then in that cart, you put all the stuff that you want. And Lulu, oh yeah. Kerala and all of those there's big Lulu shopping malls over there. Okay, right? So you entered into this so much of inventory. If I look into the world as an auditor, then I won't see stuff like over there. I'll see, oh, this is all their inventory. It should be there in their balance sheet, current assets. Okay, right. So anyways, I see all the inventory over there. Then I pick up the items which I want. And then after that, I just, take a bag, put it, and I'm okay to go. No. Obviously, we won't do that, and they won't allow us to do that. We have to pay, exactly. Money. Okay, very good. All becoming financial doctors over here. Okay. Yeah, so you will take that shopping cart to the billing counter. Then one product they will took. What sound it makes? Some beep sound it makes over there. Each and every product they put in front of the scanner. Then it comes on the system what discount is there, what price is there. Something if it's not accepted by the scanner, they'll do the manual entry. Some product if the tag is not there, they'll again send it, get the tag, or they'll say this cannot be billed. Then after that they'll ask you the mode of your payment. Then you make the payment. Then the goods, they'll ask you extra for the shopping bag, do you want or so. They put the stuff inside that. You pay the money, they give you the bill, and then you go towards the exit. Are you able to visualize? Yes, are you able to visualize? Okay, then you go towards the exit. Exit also uncle is standing. Uncle is standing there. Why? To check the bill. Exactly. He checks the bill. And then he will check what items are there in the bill. Then on a sample basis, he'll check what is there in your bag also. Okay, and then after that, you're allowed to exit from there. Say by mistake, some product they did not remove that tag, that magnetic, attachment which is put to the product, and you happen to leave the store. There is a machine which will make a sound also. And then that fellow will come running to you, and then after it will get detected, then again they will come back and they'll say probably some product, the tag is not removed or it has not been billed. And then you go back again and then you bill it, or the tag is removed, and then you exit out again. Are you getting that? How many of you, how many times a week you say, ma'am, we don't go to PVR nowadays because we just start seeing Netflix and Amazon Prime or so. But if you happen to go to a PVR Inox or so, right? Does it happen like you come to the PVR and then there is nobody over there, and you just go from screen 1 to screen 2, screen 3 to screen 4, and then see shows from 11 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock in the night, and then come back free? You might say, ma'am, that's happened with me. Nahi hota hai. Okay, ticket. And nowadays all ticket are black and white like this. How they make, I don't know, that QR code. I can't even make it. But yeah, they make some QR code, that book my show or something, then the ticket will come, they'll scan it and then allow you inside. Right? So you never are allowed an entry into a cinema hall without your show of ticket. You're never allowed an exit from a DMart or so without the show of your bill or so. So anyways, what I am talking about over here is a very important concept which practically you have experienced it everywhere around you, is the internal control system. A system of control which is internal. Internal means it's within the organization. It's within DMart. It's within PVR. It's within the CA coaching classes where you're attending your classes. When you enter into the classroom, they check your receipt. So it's a control which is there within the organization. Right? Within the organization. Why? Because if these controls are not there within the organization, within the entity, obviously there is a higher probability of the fraud and error taking place. Fraud, error. You understand fraud, error? Fraud, error. What is the difference between a fraud and an error? One word, if you can give me for a distinction between, kya alag hai? Sab kuch same hai, so one thing is different. Exactly. Beautiful. You've made my day by saying that word. Exactly. What's the one word of difference between a fraud and an error? Intention. Intentional error is a fraud. An error done intentionally makes it a fraud. And deliberately, knowingly, having some, वो कुछ बोलते हैं ना, मन में काला है. Then with that deception, with that cheating ka intention, with that illegal, unjust advantage ka intention where something wrong is done, then that is a fraud. And by mistake, out of, out of your sins, like ignorance. Oh, you say, oh my God, I don't know how I put 10,000. I wanted to put 1,000 only. Oh my God, innocent, holy cow. Okay, then that's an error. But if it's done intentionally, deliberately, knowingly, then that is known as a fraud. And obviously, in order to prevent means what? So that it should not happen only. To prevent it from happening. If anybody is going out of DMart without doing the billing, it should prevent that from happening. That is prevention. And then they say, no, prevention is better than cure. And if not prevention, prevent nahi hua, कर दिया किसी ने, still somebody has done a fraud, then what should happen? It should be detected. And obviously when you detect it, you say, okay, I've detected it. No, once it is detected, it should also be corrected. And obviously it also has to be corrected. If you find some uncle going out of the shop without doing the billing, you've detected that, call that uncle back, do the billing or take the product back, and then you send that uncle out. See, prevent or detect. Prevent, so pehle to prevent it from happening. Okay, nobody should go outside the store without doing the billing. So you prevent it. Now, in spite of prevention, it still might happen. So then you have the controls to detect it. And once you detect it, you also need to correct it. And I will keep on using this term PDC, prevent, detect or correct. Prevent or detect and correct. Prevent or detect and correct. What? The fraud and error. Prevention, detection of fraud and error. That is what they say. Obviously, prevention, detection of fraud and error is whose responsibility? Look at the terms. We are developing our technical jargon over there. Prevention and detection, and obviously after detection comes the correction of fraud and error. Whose responsibility? Fraud and error, 100,000%. It is the responsibility and responsibility of the management. It is the responsibility of the management. Now, can the management of the company come and sit at the exit gate of the company to come and check that fraud error is not happening? Obviously not. So that is why what does the management do in order to fulfill this responsibility of that? They design, they design, they implement, implementation, design, implementation and the maintenance of internal control system. Internal control system. Who does that? The management. It is the responsibility of the management. Design, implementation and maintenance. The best example which I have found for DIM ever is your timetable. Have you prepared a timetable? Yes, then that is design, that you've prepared a timetable. Have you started studying as per the timetable that you prepared? Yes, then that is implementation. Next, you prepared your timetable for 6 months. Did you follow the timetable for the entire 6 months for which you have prepared it? Generally never. And now it's a no divas. 8-9 days you follow, and then after that you are done with it. Then you go by your own way. Okay, right. But if you follow it for the entire period for which you had prepared your timetable, then we can say that there is maintenance also. There is design. See, without design, there can't be. Hey, pay attention. Don't look here and there, Baba. Look here. Without design, there cannot be implementation. Without implementation, there cannot be maintenance. First, you need to prepare a timetable. Then you need to start following it. And then you need to follow it for the entire period for which you prepared the timetable. And design, implementation and maintenance. So like in DMart, again, there should be a design of control. Okay, there should be an uncle security guard standing at the exit gate. And so that's the design. They've designed, okay, at the exit gate of DMart, there should be a security guard. That's the design of control who should check the bill. Then what is it? They actually recruit from a recruitment agency. They recruit a security guard and tell him, okay, uncle, standing here, what you have to do, every customer who leaves out, you have to check the bill. So what you designed, you also implemented. You communicated the role, responsibility to that person. And now this person, like say in a day, there are 1,500 customers coming to DMart. So if he checks the bill of all the 500 customers who have come to DMart on that day, then we can say that there is maintenance. Then we can say that there is maintenance. Or there will be no, if few randomly he checks or few he does not check or miss out, then there is a problem with the maintenance. You understand? So two important. So 3 terms I've introduced to you. Terminology, design, implementation, maintenance of internal control system to prevent, detect and correct the fraud or error. Oh my God. Look at the technical terminology that we are constructing over here. Super. We are like Perfect, super, very admit all. Okay, right. So what is the terminology? Let's write it one more time, everyone. Design, keep writing with me. Implementation, maintenance of internal control system, internal control system to prevent or detect and correct what the fraud and or error is the responsibility of the management. Okay, so preparation of financial statements was also whose responsibility? Yes, tell me. Preparation of financial statements was whose responsibility? Management's responsibility. Then design, implementation, maintenance of internal control system also whose responsibility? Management's responsibility. Now when CA is appointed to audit the financial statements, I told you that is called as the statutory audit. And when CA is appointed to audit the internal control system in the organization, then that audit is called as the internal audit. Right? Then that audit is called as the internal audit. Okay. Yes, that audit is called as the internal audit. Do you understand that? So see, I had written this term. Statutory audit is the audit of financial statements, and internal audit is the audit of the internal controls or the internal control system in the organization. Right? Audit of the internal control system in the organization. Do you understand these two terms related to audit? Statutory audit and the internal audit. Audit of financial statements is statutory audit. Audit of internal control system is the internal audit. Okay, now statutory audit, right? Statutory audit, when that is conducted, what is to be followed is the standards on auditing, SA. I told you, what is SA? Standards on auditing issued by the ICAI. Similarly, to do internal audit, ICAI, that is our Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, has issued the SIA, the Standards on Internal Audit. But don't worry, that's not applicable for your exams. At CA final, there's just an introduction to SIA. But yeah, there's something which exists which is also called as Standards on Internal Audit. And obviously, to do statutory audit, what are the standards called as? The standards on auditing. Right? They are called as the standards on auditing. Right? So everybody, do you understand the term statutory audit? Do you understand the term internal audit? Right? So we talked about statutory audit, financial statements. Then we talked about the term of the internal control system. Obviously, we'll look into the definition of internal control system, but just for us to start our class. And then we also talked about the internal audit, right? The internal audit. Okay. Right? Internal audit. Okay. Right. So that, anyways, just a hang of, just to get a hang of what audit is all about or so, just to begin with. But apart from that, now if I come to the syllabus, right? If I come to the CA inter auditing, what is it called as now? The name of the subject in the old course used to be auditing and assurance. Now they've changed the name of the subject to auditing and ethics. Auditing and ethics, right? So this is at your CA intermediate level, and CA final, right? The name of the subject is a big name. It says advanced auditing. So this is like a expertise level of the knowledge. Advanced auditing, assurance, and the professional ethics, right? So a higher version of the audit at the CA final level, which is the advanced auditing, assurance, and the professional ethics. But CA inter, short and sweet, auditing and ethics. So it says, just as a human being, you need to have certain ethics. As an auditor also, you need to have certain ethics, right? Certainly, the person who does the audit is called as the auditor. And the person who conducts the audit is called as the auditor. And the entity, the organization where we are doing the audit is called as the auditee, or we could also call it as our client. And we are service providers, right? So we are not the goods provider, right? So as a goods provider, you have a customer, but obviously as a service provider, what you a CA firm will have is the client, right? So either you could call it the auditee or you could call it the client, right? Auditor, right? So auditor, it could be a CA firm, it could be a sole proprietorship, it could be a partnership firm, LLP, right? So that's for the auditor. And then you also have the client, right? That is your auditee. Right? So audit firm and a CA firm, that is the auditor, and then you have the auditee. Okay, right. So now in our CA intermediate audit, we have the 11 chapters, telling you also that at CA final you have the 19 chapters, and obviously a different level of knowledge and preparation over there. But yeah, at CA intermediate, as per the study material of the ICAI, and obviously our book is also on the same lines of the study material of the ICAI, wherein we have the 11 chapters. Right? So chapter number 1 in your book is regarding the nature, objective, and the scope of audit. Right? Like we just pick up this one word, audit, and we understand its entire, entire concept of auditing over there. Okay, what is nature of audit? What is the objective of audit? What is the scope of auditing? What are the different types? What are the advantages? What are the limitations of audit? So it's like a chapter which is all about audit, 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 audit. It's just audit, nothing else. I know. So that's our chapter number 1, which is the nature, objective, and the scope of the audit. Okay, what is an audit? Why you do an audit, and what all is covered in an audit. So what is included in the scope of audit and what is excluded from the scope of audit. So nature, objective, and the scope of audit. That is our chapter number 1. Right. Then we have the chapter number 2, which is regarding your audit strategy. And a strategy, right? Then the audit planning and the audit program. So obviously now that I know what is an audit, I will have to do the audit. In order to do the audit, first what I'll have to do, I need to have a strategy. I need to prepare a plan. I need to prepare a detailed instruction, right? That's nothing but your audit program. Right? So you have the audit strategy, audit planning. Whenever I say strategy, it's like, Chatterjee. Right? So anyways, it's audit strategy, the audit planning, and the audit program. Right? So that's just the name of our chapter number 2, which is the audit strategy, audit planning, and the audit program. So one, you know what is an audit. Once you know what's an audit, you prepare your plan for the audit. Now, once you prepare your plan for the audit, what next you have to do is you have to do the risk assessment and also check the internal controls. And the risk assessment is to be done, and then the internal control. Right? Risk assessment. You have to assess how much is the risk at the company that you're doing the audit. We are going to have a big discussion on the risk assessment, and then you also have to understand the internal controls. I just told you about the term internal controls. Right? So risk assessment and internal control. So first you look into what is an audit, then you prepare your audit strategy, audit plan, then you do your risk assessment and also verify, do the checking of the internal controls in the organization. Once you do that, risk assessment, internal control, now what you start doing next is you start obtaining the audit evidence. Oh my God, this is like the $1 million term in our discussion regarding audit. And audit evidence. Can anybody tell me what do you think should be the meaning of evidence? And I'm sure the first answer is going to be not right. Okay. The class is not playing on the laptop. So probably there is some setting which you can connect on the magnet CA number over there and check in for that. For the time being, if you could connect on your mobile phone, because technically I don't know what could be the reason, but I apologize for the same. And for the time being, if you could, I hope it's at least working on your mobile phone, and then we need to check it to the technical team. Okay, document to prove something. Okay, that's what you're saying. Information obtained by auditor while auditing. Oh, so nice here. Okay, and what else are you saying about Audit as such. Oh, proof. Oh, proof. You say it's a proof. Proof is something which I won't agree with. Okay. Information, supporting information, document to prove something. Okay. Supporting information. Very good. Supporting what? It's a supporting information, but what is that supporting? Conclusive evidence. My God, you have got collected all the knowledge from everywhere in the world and applying it here. Can be anything, anyone who which acknowledges something, acha, based on which auditor will base opinion. Okay. Yes. Yes, so we said now the distinguish between fraud and errors is intention. Similarly, if I want to just use one alternative term to explain the concept of evidence, it means just one word, that is information. What is evidence? Evidence means information. Yes, information, documents supporting the transactions entered in the book. Wonderful. Okay, right. So information. Then why not call it proof? Because I'm talking about audit evidence. I'm talking about audit evidence. If I start talking about that, if evidence would mean proof, then proof somewhere becomes, instead of an audit, it will start becoming like a investigation. And doing an audit is different from doing an investigation. You understand? Some of you also mentioned something called as the conclusive evidence. So, audit, and then you have something called as investigation. Right? So, investigation, audit, you get the audit evidence. In investigation, you get the proof. This evidence which you get in an audit by performing the audit procedure. Obviously, evidence here, you'll have to perform certain procedure. So that procedure which you perform and then you obtain the evidence, that evidence which you get in an audit is mainly the persuasive evidence. Persuasive. Okay, but investigation also you get evidence, but the evidence which you get in an investigation is your conclusive evidence. Conclusive, है ना? कह दिया बस कह दिया, है ना? There is a dialogue, no, in one movie, I think. Which one, right? Which movie? कह दिया बस कह दिया. You don't follow Bollywood, you follow Tollywood or Hollywood or Mollywood or what's other woods are there? Hollywood and all. Okay, right. Audit wood is there. Okay, focus on that right now. Oh yeah, K3G. And Kabhi Kushi Kabhi Gum. He never allows that Jaya Bachchan to say anything in front of whatever Amitabh Bachchan has once decided. So that is like a conclusive. It's like done and dusted. No more discussions about it. Okay, it's full and final. Okay, that is conclusive. What does it mean by conclusive? Only that is true. And any other possibility is ruled out. Only that is true. But yahi satya hai. This is the reality. Nothing else. This is full and final. Whereas persuasive, look at the beauty of the terms. What does it say for persuasive? Most likely to be true than not. अरे क्या मस्त definition बनाया है. Most likely to be true than not. Most likely to be true than not. You understand? No. So to persuade someone, you might have persuaded people, no? Or people might have persuaded you. You say, ma'am, once you do CA course, there is no time for any other sort of persuasion other than persuading the CA course. Or you might to take CA. Okay, yeah, you might have been. So what is the nearest word you find for persuade, to persuade someone? Audit also develops your English. Huh? It also develops your communication. I'm telling you. To persuade someone is to influence, okay? To influence something more, to convince, exactly. To convince someone. To convince. So in an audit, the evidence which you get is like persuasive, wherein you get convinced, but you are not like 100% this is right. Like example, I hope you understand, and I'm not talking at a very complicated level. Like when I do an audit of the financial statements, I also do the audit of the profit and loss account. In the profit and loss account, I will do the audit of the various expenses. In that, there is one expense which is the rent. Is this difficult to understand? Please tell me, I can go, I would like to get it to that much of a foundation level as possible. And a part of the audit, we'll do audit of rent. Is it simple? कैसे करेंगे रे rent का audit? How you do audit of rent? Yes, please type in. Be alert in the class. And that's the benefit of what you say. That's the benefit of an online class. It's like literally like a one-to-one class for you. You don't know who many others and who others are there and what they are doing. It's like, in the school days, your teachers for science, your parents for your science and maths, they would have appointed some personal tutor for you. Taking individual coaching. Okay. Right. So yeah, how do you check it? Yes. Yes, you're giving me good answers. Oh my God. Wonderful students. Okay. Right. So yes, to check the rent, you obviously first will ask your client, your auditee, to give you a copy of the rent agreement. Then you will also take the ledger extract of the, very good, ledger extract of the rent account. Yes, then you will also check the rent, is it, if I'm doing the audit, say, let's do the audit for the year 25-26, generally in our discussions over here, right? So obviously, I want to check whether the rent expenditure is related to the accounting period of 2025, 1st April 25 to 31st March 26. If it is related to 24-25 or if it is related to 26-27, then how do I record that as? If it is related to previous year or it is related to the next year, then obviously it has to be recorded either as a, yes, rent payable or receivable. So that means it has to be recorded as a prepaid. Generally, it's not prepaid, but either prepaid or outstanding rent. Exactly. And outstanding or prepaid. That's how it will have to be recorded. So you want to check for which period is this rent expenditure related to. The accounting period of the rent expenditure is what you would also like to check. And then what you would like to check, like rent agreement. Like I am doing the audit, say, of a company called as, what should be the name of my client? Okay, so say maybe name of my client is Growth Limited. Example, Growth Limited. Or what other name do you want to help me in the naming ceremony of my client? Adani. No, Adani, Ambani and all of that. Let's have our own name of our client. Like, Apple. Originally, Apple was only the interpretation of an apple was a fruit. Apple, A for apple, that's how you study. Oh, now pineapple, oh my God. Then they'll say custard apple. Then they'll say wood apple. There's something called as wood apple also. That sapota, that chiku is also called as wood apple. Oh yeah, that's so interesting, no? Okay. Yes? But why apple? No, something else. Pineapple, custard apple, wood apple, no. Yes? So Growth Limited, okay? AL Limited, okay? And the Magnet Limited, okay? Right. So anyways, let's have a growth mindset in our life. With that, let's have it as a Growth Limited. Growth Limited, okay? Right. So now this rent expenditure, which I'm checking of my client Growth Limited, example I'm taking, should it be the rent expenditure where the business of Growth Limited is being conducted and that premises is on rent, or uska jo rent expenditure hai, that is being recorded in the books of account? Or is it like one of the director of Growth Limited is living in a bungalow and that bungalow he is paying a 2 lakh rupees rent every month and that is recorded in the books of account of Growth Limited? Which rent expenditure should you think should be recorded? Where the office premises of Growth Limited are taken on rent, that should be recorded in the rent expenditure, or that director staying in the bungalow, that rent expenditure should be recorded? Obviously, the office premises. Personal expenses cannot be recorded in the books of account of the company unless and until it's in the allowances and the policy of the company. In a case the company says that we will bear your accommodation expense, then okay, then you can record it. But prima facie, no. You understand? No, office, some stationery is being purchased, some printing ka paper, some stationery, like, some particular pens and markers and all of that. Can that be recorded in the books of account of the company? Yes. But all the employees of Growth Limited, after work, they went to PVR to see a movie over there. And then that expenditure, should it be recorded in the books of account of the company? No. So obviously, coming back to the rent expenditure should be related to the entity. It should be related to the entity, and it should not be any personal expense, or it should not be that it's the rent expenditure of DK Limited. One you can grow in life, other you can decay. And a stagnant limited. And now rent expenditure of DK Limited should be recorded in the books of account of DK. It should not come in the books of account of Growth Limited. It should be related to the entity which I am auditing. You understand? I would also like to check the amount of the rent expenditure. Okay. So anyways, I've gone to Growth Limited. I've seen that they have some rent expenditure. I told them, give me the evidence, give me all the information. So they show me the rent agreement. What I see, that the rent agreement is in the name of Growth Limited. What I see, that it is related to the office premises. What I also noticed is the amount written over there, 1 lakh rupee rent per month. Example. Say it is also written that it's for the year 25-26. Okay. Then I also check the name of the other party, stamp paper and all of that. And then I start putting my reverse tick over there. I do all this checking. Now checking all this, and then I see that in the ledger account, in the ledger extract, it's written rent expenditure for the year 12 lakh. And so per month 1 lakh, so for the year 12 lakh. So now prima facie, overall, am I convinced that this rent expenditure looks to be okay? I've checked it from the rent account also. I've also checked the payment from the bank statement for the same. So prima facie, does it look like that this rent expenditure seems to be okay? I've done all checking possible. So am I convinced that this seems to be okay? Yes. But can I give a 100% guarantee that this is right? No. 100% guarantee is not possible in an audit. No. That is not possible in an audit. Who knows? Who knows? We are not an expert in authentication of document. We are not going to dig into and check the reality of how this document was created. Who knows? They might have tampered this rent agreement. Maybe it was of 21-22, and then they just made the changes in the Word file and then gave it to the CA. Who knows that it was the rent expenditure in the name of DK, but they just changed it to growth and put it over here. You understand? So, who knows that whether Growth Limited is a Growth Limited, or is it what do you say? Is there a wheel? If you remove the wheel of Growth Limited, behind that there is a Satyam company into existence. You know Satyam, right? You don't know Satyam? Satyam Computer Services Limited. You know the amount of fraud which happened in that company? In 2009, the fraud was revealed. Satyam Computer Services Limited, exactly. Do you know the amount of fraud? 7,000 crore fraud. When we later on have a discussion, we'll talk more about it. 7,000 crore, like 7,000, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This is the amount. Even if some rickshaw fellow cheats us by like 5 rupees or 10 rupees, also we get irritated. What is this? And here, look at the amount. 7,000 crore fraud in the books of account of the company. You understand? No. So I believe in prima facie what I see, but that thought is always there. Who knows if it's a Satyam? Who knows? Okay, what is the true reality of the company? So do we get the conclusive evidence? No. The evidence which we get is only the persuasive evidence, right? The evidence which we get in an audit is only the persuasive, which is most likely to be true than not. See, auditor का ना एक attitude होता है. Auditor has a particular attitude. What is the beautiful attitude of the auditor? It says not to accept without reason. Till the time you don't give me the supporting, you don't give me all the information, explanation which I want, I am not going to accept. I'll keep on eating your head till that time. Not to accept without reason. They say, what, CA, every year you come this much, so you should trust us. Every year you come and start checking. CA says, trust us, don't talk. Bring, Narayan Murthy also says that. In God we trust. Others bring the numbers on the table. You understand? You cannot trust or accept anything without getting the reasoning, the explanations for the same. So not to accept without reason, but also once you've got the reasoning, you've checked it, it seems to be okay. Now don't unnecessarily trouble yourself by suspecting without reason. No, but I still think that you are Satyam. Now when you say Satyam, it's like, oh my God. No, now, you say, no, but I still think you are fraud. I don't think. Don't suspect without reason. Ray, you are not doing investigation. You're doing an audit. You did not accept till the time they did not give you all the evidence, till the time they did not give you all the supporting, till the time they did not give you all the information explanation. You kept on eating the head of the client till the time you got the supporting. Now you've got all the supporting, you've got the persuasive evidence. Now don't be, doubtful. No, but I still think you guys are a fraud. No. If you start suspecting without reason, then that becomes the investigation. In investigation, we have a preliminary mindset of an investigative mentality. Okay, everybody is a fraud. I've come here only to detect fraud. That is the mindset for an investigation. But audit, that's not the mindset. You say, I believe, I would love to believe that you are genuine. I know that you are genuine. But I just want the justification for the same. So not to accept without reason, but also not to suspect without reason. Once you've got the evidence, finish it. Now don't unnecessarily, trouble the guy. No, but I know you guys are fraud. No. Without reason not to accept, without reason not to suspect. Okay, let me make your life more interesting. So in an audit, pay attention everyone, the evidence which we get is the persuasive evidence. What is persuasive? Which is most likely to be true than not. Most likely. Okay, then in an investigation, the evidence which we get is the what? Conclusive evidence. Only that is true. Any other possibility is ruled out. So when your CA foundation result comes 50, 50, 50, 50, 200 out of 400, only that is true. Any other possibility is ruled out. Okay. Whereas nowadays there is a new term which is being the talk of the town, which is called as forensic audit. But nowadays, instead of forensic audit, they say replace the word audit by accounting. So whatever, call it forensic accounting or forensic audit. But in the forensic accounting or audit account here means one and the same for forensic. For your audit account is different, but forensic auditing, forensic accounting, forensic investigation, वो सारा एक ही. A is equal to B, B is equal to C. That is why A is equal to C. Forensic audit, forensic accounting, or forensic investigation. When you do that, now the evidence which you get over here is called as the legal evidence. Why? Because with this evidence, you can go to the court of law and use it as an evidence in the court of law for the legal proceedings. And in the court, you have to, prove, submit the evidences over there, the proof over there. So the evidence which you get from audit, that cannot be used as an evidence in the court of law. The evidence which you get in an investigation also cannot be used in the court of law as a legal evidence. But the evidence which you get in a forensic audit, forensic accounting, that can be used in the court of law. Rather, the word forensic, just giving you some additional bit of knowledge over there. The word forensic has been derived from the Latin word forensis, which again means that it is suitable for use on or before the forum. On or before the forum, or forum could also be called as the court of law. So the evidence which you get in the forensic auditing can be used as an evidence in the court of law. It's a legal evidence which you get over there. You understand? Audit, investigation, forensic accounting. It is a sort of checking, but only the extent and depth of checking undergoes a change, and also the type of evidence which you get is different. Right? So audit ka journey kaisa hai? Okay, in an audit, what we have to do, we obtain the evidence, and based on the evidence, right, what we will do, we will form our audit opinion, and based on our audit opinion, what we will do, we will issue an audit report. And obviously, to obtain the audit evidence, we will have to perform the audit procedure. To perform the audit procedures, first we will have to do the audit strategy, audit planning, audit program. And that's wow, everything audit, 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 audit. Like, it's audit planning, audit procedure, audit evidence, audit opinion, audit report. And so many audit terms, we'll come to that over there. Anyways, the point which I want to tell you is that chapter number 4, what is the name of the chapter? The name of the chapter is the audit evidence. Right? What is the name of the chapter? It is the audit evidence. Okay. Right. Then after that, we have a chapter number 5, which is the biggest chapter in your syllabus over there, which is audit of items of financial statements. A mind-blowing chapter over there. When each and every item of the financial statement, like right now we took the example of rent. It's one of the item of financial statement. Can you name a few more items of the financial statement? You know now what is there in financial statement. So can you tell me a few more items? Each one of you tell me 5. Okay, salary, interest income, interest expense, very good. Purchases. Why you are restricting yourself to profit and loss only? Yeah, sales, very good. Borrowings, professional charges, inventory, fixed assets, that is property, plant, equipment, very good. Traveling expenses, purchases, or bolo. Repairs and maintenance. Okay, computer, yes. Carriage inward, okay. Cash in bank, cash and cash equivalents. Loans, borrowings, okay. Equity, other equity, that is your reserves and surplus. Debtors, shareholder fund, yeah. Yes, share capital, creditors, very good. Yes, notes to account is also part of financial statements. Okay, creditors, debenture, investments. Yes, cash flow, okay. Yes, cash in hand and bank, drawings, reserves and surplus. Okay. So all that you have mentioned over here, when we do the audit of each and every item of the financial statement, that is our chapter number 5. Right? Audit of the items of the financial statements. Okay. Right. Then after that, we have the chapter number 6, which is regarding after you've done the audit of all the items of the financial statements, now you have to finish with your audit. So that is, something which needs to be done towards the end of the audit. Right? So completion and the review. Then obviously when the audit has been completed, right, and also the review of the work has been done, and so then what you need to issue is an audit report. And what needs to be issued is the audit report, right? So very important discussion regarding the audit report. Right, then after this, now this we generally talk about so far, audit of any entity. We are just having a general discussion over here regarding the audit. It could be audit of the any entities, right? It could be the audit of the any entities, right? So after items of the financial statement, we have one more chapter over there, right? So let me just let's add one more chapter over there, the chapter number 6, that whatever you have audited, you need to document the same. Very important is the audit documentation. So in our world of audit, one more audit gets added over there, audit documentation. And we said audit evidence, audit opinion, audit procedure. So now you also have the audit documentation. Right? Then there is the completion and review, then the audit report. Then generally we talk about an audit of the entity. Generally we talk about the audit of an, right? Generally we talk about the audit of an entity. But apart from just an entity, we can specifically put it into the audit of the special features of the different types of entities, wherein we'll be talking about the audit of the hospital, audit of the hotel, audit of a school, college, university, audit of a NGO, audit of a charitable institution, audit of a LLP, audit of a trust, audit of a society, right? Audit of a cinema hall, amusement park. So many different types of the audits over there. Right, so audits of the different types of the entities. Then you have the chapter number 10. What I realized that many students at the articleship level after CA inter, right, in their articleship, they happen to do a lot of audit of banks. Right, so that is why they have also put a chapter on the audit of the bank. So bank audit chapter is there at CA inter also, CA final also. But obviously CA final, it gets more technical. Okay, and then last chapter which we have over there is regarding the audit, is the ethics and the terms of audit engagement, right? So regarding your, or because the name of the subject is auditing and ethics, right? So you have the ethics and also the terms of the audit engagement, right? Terms of the audit engagement. Right, so that's the breakout of the 11 chapters which are there in your syllabus. Okay, first you understand what is an audit. Once you've understood that, you prepare your strategy, plan, program. Based on that, you do the risk assessment and understanding of internal control. Based on that, you obtain the evidence. Then you do the audit of each and every item of the financial statements. You maintain the documentation, completion review, audit report, then the audit of different types of entities, audit of banks, and ethics in terms of audit engagement. Okay, if I want to further classify the syllabus of ours, what we can do is that this chapter number 5, which is the audit of the items of the financial statement, because it is each and every item of the financial statement. Then this is audit of school, college, hospitals, cinema hall and all of that. And then this is the bank audit. This chapter number 5, 9 and 10, we can group it together. Understand? Because one is audit of the items of the financial statement, one is audit of the different types of the entities, and this is also an entity, but a big entity, so they put it under a separate chapter, that is the bank audit. Right, we've put it under a separate chapter, that is the bank audit. Okay, and then apart from that, all the other chapters can be combined together. Right, so one set of chapters wherein we have the specific audit is what? One is the audit of the items of the financial statement, audit of the items of the financial statements. Then you have the audit of the different types of the entities, and then you also have the audit of the banks. So these three audits, we keep them separately. Right, so generally, like, we could say audit of items of financial statement, they ask like 2-3 items over there, different types of entities, again 1 or 2 questions, and then bank audit again 1 or 2. But now, saying 1 or 2 is probably only for the theory part of the paper. But what I have told you, okay, now our paper has 3 varieties of questions. 3D study we have to do. And we say 2D, 3D. So we have to do a 3-dimensional study. What 3-dimensional study we need to do, everyone? One, we need to study, okay, out of this concept, this topic, this discussion we are having, what could be the MCQ? What could be the possible MCQs which could be created? Second is, what are the correct and incorrect questions which could be created? And third is our discussion regarding the theory part, right, which is your, the subjective type of the questions. Right, so 3-dimensional study, because if I say bank audit also, they can put 1 or 2 questions in theory, maybe 1 question in the correct and incorrect, and 1 or 2 questions in the MCQ. Right, so if I say 1 or 2, that's only for the theory part. But apart from that, there could also be a question in the correct and incorrect, and there could also be a question in the MCQ part of the paper. You understand, everyone? Right, so what are we talking about over here? What are the names of the chapters? Let's try to remember. Nature, objective, and scope of audit. So what is an audit? Once you know what's an audit, what you do, you prepare your audit strategy, your audit plan, your audit program. Once that you've prepared your audit strategy, audit plan, audit program, next you do the risk assessment and internal control. Then you start obtaining the audit evidence. Then you do the audit of the items, audit documentation, completion and review, audit report, and then after that the different types of entities, bank, and the ethics in terms of audit engagement. Clear, everyone? I wish that all of you, when you are attending the class, right, I'll be sharing these running notes PDF in the encrypted form with all of you in the software in which you are attending the class. But apart from that, see, the best notes for you are the ones which you prepare on your own. They are the super best ones for you, because audit is a subject which has to not only go through your ears, it's also a subject which has to pass through your hand. And the more you do writing practice in audit, the more wonderful marks you get, because of the confidence which you develop and the engraving, the deep engraving of the subject which happens in your mind. Right? So not that everything that I write has to be written in your books, but yeah, at least 60 to 70% of what I write is required to be written. You say, ma'am, when you're speaking, then we are thinking whether we should listen to you, whether we should write. Then, you need to make a trade-off in that, regarding how you manage the listening and the writing. That skills, that multitasking skills you need to develop. You have to develop a right combination for that. And then you always have the option of the backups being put after the everyday class. So then later on you can again run through the class and prepare your notes over there, right? So every day it has to be a religious task, a ceremonial, a ritualistic process for you, that whatever is discussed in the class for today, you're going to read that on your own, and you will ensure that your notes are prepared. Because later on I have been in my entire teaching career, this one rocking question which always comes, okay ma'am, this is okay, but how to revise this entire subject one day before the exam or 1.5 day before the exam? So trust me, for you, they say we are not able to revise it, we are not able to finish it. Why? Because one day before the exam you've become greedy. Now all of a sudden you want to remember everything, you want to read everything, you want to analyze everything. Now how is that possible 1.5 day before the exam? वो तो नहीं possible है. Your expectations are only wrong. And they are not practical expectation. For that 1.5 day before the exam, we have to prepare 6 months before the exam. Every time I study a chapter, a concept, I know I can't read this entire damn thing one day before the exam. So I need to either prepare my post-it, or I need to have the highlights on that particular page. Ki boss, one day before the exam, I will not read all. I will just read these highlights which I have prepared, or the sticky note, the small note which I have prepared as a summary of that particular concept over there. Or there are like the 40 questions after the chapter. One day before the exam, dare I not go through all the 40 questions over there? So you mark a few questions like with a star or with a dot and circle, and okay, these are out of the 40s, these are the 8-9 questions which will cover all the variety. So you have to prepare a lot for that one day before the exam. You understand that? So keep that in your mind from day one, from the time you start preparing for the subject of audit. Always keep that 1.5 day in your mind. Or not only 1.5 day, because you have to revise. Like the students ask, ma'am, how many times do I need to do audit? Is it like 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? How many times? Bolo? How many times should you study audit? N times? Okay, cumulative revision? Yeah, exactly. 2. No. So audit is a subject which requires constant revision, cumulative revision. You have to, simple rule for audit, if you want to, what do you say? So you don't want that subject to befriend you, or for you to feel it like a alien. You have to stay in touch with the subject. You have to be in touch. They say that out of sight, out of mind. You don't see it, then after a few days you again open the book. The beauty of the book and the beauty of the subject, every time, few times you open it again, you've already read it, you open it again, you think as if you're reading it for the first time. But the only reason for you to avoid that thought is because you see your markings in the book. Then you say, nahi, I've done this marking, it's all written by me, then obviously I would have studied. But it's just that it gets evaporated. Sublimation? Sublimation? Like, that camphor. Camphor, camphor? Kapoor, Karpur, Gauram, Karunavataram, without bias to any religion. Camphor, Kapoor? You keep it, just keep a piece of Kapoor over here. And then you were very good at science. And they say directly from solid to gaseous. And then directly, it gets evaporated. Did you do anything? You just kept it. Like, if I keep this particular ruler over here, and the scale I keep it, will it evaporate? Will this evaporate? No, I open it, I see it after maybe 100 years also, after 20, any point of time. Maybe there will be just some dust, there might be wear and tear, depreciation right off, but it will exist. But no, audit, it just goes in the clouds. It just evaporates. It just evaporates. So obviously, if I don't want it to evaporate, what I'll have to do now for the camphor? I'll have to cover it with a lid. tight lid. नहीं तो उड़ जाएगा. It will evaporate, no? You understand? You understand, no? Programming of the brain has to be very right. Any number of chapters you study, any number of subjects, you are going to become a chartered accountant. Your life is going to change. You will have a wonderful next 40 years of your life, or the rest of your life, whatever it be. You understand? So set the momentum right. Follow a particular methodology. Okay. And I'm telling you, whatever I tell you, no, 100,000% it won't cause you any harm. Whatever it is, it's just a benefit. Now, how much is the incremental benefit for you? That depends from student to student. But if you follow that every day, whatever is discussed in the class, you go through the notes, you go through whatever is discussed in the class, you prepare your notes, you see whether your notes are all set, all ready for that. And then also what I'm going to discuss on the next day, you just come with the realization that, oh, all this I don't know. You go through those pages and then you have a conscious realization that, oh, all this I don't know, all this I don't know. So that next day, the vacuum is created. And once the vacuum is there, if the rain falls, obviously, if there is a, what do you say, if there is the hole, then the water can fall inside, no, and the water can get accumulated, the rainwater over there. If it's already flat, then all the water will just fall off on the sides. Nothing will get accumulated. Right? Nothing will get accumulated. That's so very important. Keep it in mind. And then see, first time out of those 40 questions, I would have marked 10 questions as important. Then I saw it so many times. Then I will say, okay, now these are also not that important. Few out of them. So then you can mark just like 6, 7 out of that. Or few more others might get added. So that's what you have to constantly work upon the subject, right? So anyways, the point which I want to tell you is that you have to keep writing with me in the class, prepare your notes on a regular basis, and also have the markings in your book, right? Have the markings in your book. Clear, everyone? Is it all good so far? Did you understand what all I have been talking? Have you been able to pay attention? Would you like to say write anything? Yes, all okay? और ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं हिंदी नहीं बोल सकती हूँ, है ना? मुझे नॉर्मल हिंदी आती है और मला मराठी पण येते कारण मी ओरिजिनली महाराष्ट्राची आहे and मैं मारवाड़ी हूँ तो मैंने मारवाड़ी पण बोलता हवे but nowadays even Marwadis don't know how to speak Marwadi anyways but I will not be communicating in any of these languages apart from English. Why? One of the reason, oh, you know, Aarti ma'am teaches in English. But I have no problem teaching you in Hindi. But if you have to write your paper in English, it's better that you listen to the subject in English. Otherwise, exam you'll do the, what do you say, live translation of whatever is discussed with you in Hindi. And anyways, look at my English. Look at my English. It is such a normal, simple English. Do you see any Shashi Tharoor English over here? Or any Shakespeare English over here? And whatever terms related to audit, that I'm discussing with you. Like when I came across financial statements, when we saw the term audit evidence, or hey, you will get such wonderful marks in the subject of audit. You understand? Yeah, and then if you're from South India, so then I don't know Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, and all those languages. So, you know, that's then the only common language which is left for us is English over there. Okay, right? So that's the reason intentionally, because there are students geographically from different parts of the country, we keep the mode of communication as English. Don't be worried, it will be beneficial for you. And this I'm not telling you just to get convinced, but it is practically also I'm telling you it was beneficial for you to get the good marks in audit. Okay, right. So now there is a question. You're from Kerala. Okay, so Kerala has a wonderful city called as Trichur. Oh my God, what a lovely place. Okay, right. So I have a query. When we follow the book, should we be following the text? Oh my God, it's gone. Your textbook, or should we follow ICM material? Right. So you can, like you go to doctor. Doctor gives you prescription. You go to doctor. Doctor gives prescription. What prescription doctor gives? Okay, medicines. How he writes medicine? RX. आप लीजिए. You need to take. How many times? You say, ma'am, crocine, we don't go to the doctor for him writing crocine for us. That we take it on our own. Okay? Right. But if you go for some, if you see your doctor's prescription, what does it say? This medicine in the morning, after breakfast, then afternoon, and then before food, after food, exactly. And then for 5 days, 10 days, 7 days, then you need to get these pathology tests done and then come back to show to me again after 7 days, 10 days, or something like that, for review and all of that. Okay, similarly, if I am an audit doctor and if I have to give you a prescription for your healthy study of audit, I would say that this book from beginning to the end, and you need to study it minimum 3 times before the exam. Minimum 3 times. This book. And the audit book, which some of you might have received who've taken admission already some time back, and some of you are the last minuters, so you will be getting. And a minimum, maximum is every day. And you can read it like your daily time till the time you clear your inter audit. But yeah, like 3 times religiously, from hardcore in-depth study you do from the book, and then you mark your important points and keep on doing the constant cumulative revisions of those. And apart from that, if you want to go through the institute study material or any other notes which are there on Telegram channel and all, anyways, it's like a nice way to refresh your knowledge through different sources. But wo sara add-on, and that all is add-on. And additional, that's all is like supplementary. This is main hard. But yeah, do you need to separately study from the study material of ICI after you've studied from this book? As such, first finish studying from this book 3 times before the exam, then if time remains, then you go through institute study material, no harm. Rather, I would like on the first day only, I'm giving you the advice for the last day also of your classes, that it's no harm that wherever you're doing your classes, you follow that particular class notes, but one day you go through the study material of ICI 1 or 2 days or 4-5 hours for each subject. You go through the study material of ICAI. You'll find like 80 to 90% of the things are exactly the same, except for the presentation and the question and answer part. But it's because ICS study material, they ask direct questions in the exam. So for each subject, like for FM, you see all the examples and illustrations given in the ICS study material, advanced accounts, you go through the questions over there. It's wonderful. Obviously, because that's your most authentic source, no? So even if you don't study through that, you go through it at least once before the exams. You understand? But this book should be more than enough. Okay, students always want less size of the book, few number of pages, like 200, 300 pages book. I would have loved to do that. But that would be a selling point for the book, but not a exam, point maximizer point. From a 500 pages book, you can decide to read 200 pages. That's your call. But from a 200 pages book, how can you read 500 pages? And with ICAI, the passing percentage is how much? See, enter. You might be keeping track, no? 9%. Oh my God. Single digit. 8 to 9%. Oh my God. So do you understand, if you are aware of the reality of the single digit result, or maybe on the courteous side, like let me make it like a 15% result on an average, maybe you'll say, ma'am, it doesn't happen. But yeah, maybe if I keep it like a 15% also, then 85% of the students need to study again. You know that? So the only shortcut is the longest cut. Okay, it's a scary reality, but don't worry. You can do it. If I can do it, I believe that every CA student who has the dedication and perseverance, they can do it. Just don't try to look out for shortcuts. Just don't try to keep it for the last minute. Just maintain a discipline, cut out the noise, enjoy your studies, and you will become a chartered accountant. Take it from me. But that dedication, discipline, no compromise. No compromise at all. You have to put your heart, soul, tan, man, dhan, everything, like sam, dam, danda, bhed, whatever you call it. You have to give it your all. And work it the smart way. And not only smartness, it has to be smart plus hard work. Okay, wonderful. So what have we discussed? We've discussed a few terms related to audit. We've taken an outline of our 11 chapters which are there in the syllabus. Certainly, I'll be beginning with chapter number 1, then going to chapter number 11. You know that's interesting. And we'll be hopping between chapters 1, 11, then we come to 8. Because we have to know the nature, objective, scope of audit. Then first thing, terms of engagement, terms and conditions apply. Whenever you enter into any contract or any online purchase, sale of shares or any account also you open, what does it say? Accept, agree the terms and conditions. Right? So audit also, when you are agreeing to do an audit for your client, you have some terms and conditions of the engagement. Right? And also there are certain ethics. And that's the starting point. You know, when we start with the audit, we issue something called as an engagement letter. An engagement letter. Because for CA, doing an audit is a type of an engagement. It's an audit engagement. When CA is appointed to do an audit. And so we issue, V means auditor, CA. And CA. CA issues to client, auditee. Growth Limited. CA issues engagement letter. And after we finish with the audit done, dust done. Then towards the end of the audit, what we issue is the audit report. So this is our first document of which we issue to the client, and this is the last document which we issue to the client. So obviously once we know the first and last, then we can, fill in the blanks in between. Okay, when we start with the audit, we issue the engagement letter. Okay, so let's see how interesting it is. Auditor, auditor, and then there is the client. Auditor issues to the client an engagement letter. Okay, but before that, before auditor, I am auditor, when say I'm doing the audit of Growth Limited, before I give them an engagement letter, first the client needs to send to the auditor an appointment letter. An appointment letter. And then after appointment letter is received by the auditor says that we are willing to accept your appointment, and then he will put across his terms and conditions of the engagement. So who issues appointment letter? Who issues? So ma'am, we are typing. Yeah, client to auditor. And who issues engagement letter? Engagement letter? Who issues? Auditor to client. Correct. Auditor to client is the engagement letter, and client to auditor is the appointment letter. Because who appoints the auditor is the client. Right? Like I told you, shareholders. And in case of a company, the shareholders, they appoint the auditor at the general meeting, right? At the AGM of the company or so. Okay, right. So I've already told you something called as the auditing standards, which is also called as the standards on auditing. Okay, so originally, like 1980s type, when ICAI, before that, before 1980s, there were no standards ka concept for audit. Okay, so in 1980s, when first time ICAI came up with the concept that there should be some uniformity in the auditing practices, it issued the SAP. What is that? It is the statements on auditing practices. Right? These statements on or standards on the auditing practices. Then after that, in the 2000 times, right? So 1980s and then in the 2000 times, these standards on auditing practices were revised to be called as the AAS. And that is the auditing and assurance standards. So rather, when I had written my CA inter and my CA final exam, what I had for my exams applicable was the AAS, auditing and assurance standards. Right? So auditing and assurance standards. And see how you see accounting standard AS1, AS2, AS3, AS4. That time the AAS were also serially numbered like this. AAS1, AAS2, AAS3 and 4. And likewise, right? So there were some 36 also. Okay, so this was also once upon a time. This was historical time. Then it got replaced to be called as the auditing and assurance standard. Then after that, now these standards have been revised, keep your ears wide open, to be called as the engagement and quality control Now these standards are called as the engagement and quality control standards. Right, all issued by ICAI, standards on statements on auditing practices, auditing and assurance standard, then renamed in 2008-9 around to be called as the EQCS. What is EQCS? Engagement and quality control standards. Right, so certainly these are standards for the engagement and also for the quality control. Right, what did I just tell you? One of the type of engagement which can be done by a CA is the one of the type of engagement which can be done by the CA is the, yes, one of the type of engagement which can be done by the CA is the audit engagement. Exactly, audit. You know, one of the type of work for which CA can be appointed is called as the audit engagement. Right, so obviously when CA is appointed to do the audit, then CA you need to follow the standards on auditing. And a CA you need to follow the standards on auditing. Right? How many standards on auditing have been issued by ICAI? 38 standards on auditing. And 38. In total, how many EQCS are there? 46 engagement and quality control standards. Out of that, first is the standards on auditing. And how many standards on auditing are there? 38. Right. Then apart from audit, the other type of engagement for which a CA could be appointed is to do a review. What is a review? I'll come to that. But when CA is appointed to do a review, he needs to follow the standards on review engagement, right? So SRE stands for standards on, this is all there in chapter number 1. Huh? This is not extra knowledge. Right? Standards on review engagement. How many standards on review engagement are there? Just two. Just two. So these are two types of engagement which can be performed by CA. First two, audit or review. Apart from this also, there are two more types of engagement which we will talk about. And then we talk about the quality control. Right? So when CA, you're appointed to do an audit, you need to follow the standards on auditing. When you're appointed to do a review, you need to follow the standards on review engagement. Right? So after the break, we'll try to appreciate what is the difference between an audit and a review, and what are the other two types of engagement, and what is it about this quality control. Right, so we take a 15 minutes break, and then after that again we continue with our class. Right, any technical issues also which you faced in the class, please connect with our technical team. I is sure that they will be able to guide you through it. Okay, so let's take a break and then continue. Okay.